Salvete discipuli. Hello, sixth grade. This is our remote lesson for the week. I hope you all enjoyed the Halloween games last week or the week off. If you didn't end up playing them, that's totally fine. They were just optional. This week we are back to learning some new Latin words. Specifically, we're going to be learning some more adjectives. So we've technically already learned some adjectives with our color words. This week's adjectives are more going to be how to describe how we're feeling or describe things kind of in general. So learning some adjectives today. Remember to take notes. Make sure you get these words written down somewhere so you have them. And then there will be a little assignment for this week as well. So let's get started. All right, so adjectives in Latin, again, we talked about this with our colors. Adjectives describe nouns, so that part's the same in Latin as it is in English. But in Latin, remember, since nouns have grammatical gender, adjectives have to have grammatical gender also. Now, adjectives describe all nouns, so adjectives will typically have different forms for each gender, and you have to make sure that you are matching your genders with your adjectives and your nouns. Some hints, helpful hints. Typically, our masculine forms of adjectives are going to end in US. We'll see a couple of exceptions to that today. And typically, feminine adjective forms will end in A. Again, there's a few exceptions to this. There's a couple of different endings, but for the most part, masculine forms end in US, feminine forms end in A, which again, we saw with our colors. Now, there are also neuter forms for adjectives. Those are usually going to end in UM. We're not going to be learning the neuter forms just yet because we haven't learned any neuter nouns, so we don't really need the neuter forms for adjectives just yet. They're not as common as the masculine and feminine anyway, so we're focusing on masculine and feminine forms today. Again, we're learning masculine and feminine forms today, so that's just putting that there. And just keep in mind, we saw this with our colors with the word for green in Latin, viridis. Viridis just had the one form for both masculine and feminine, and we will see, I think, two of those today. Two of our words today have just the one form that's the same for masculine and feminine. So just keep that in mind. But most of our adjectives, we will have two forms. You need to learn both forms so that you can describe both masculine and feminine nouns. All right, let's jump into our actual adjectives. Remember, you guys want to practice saying these words out loud so you can get some practice with your Latin pronunciation. Our first adjective, we have the masculine form, laetus, and then the feminine form, laeta. Remember, this A-E together is pronounced I. So laetus and laeta. I will always list the masculine form first and the feminine form second. That's how adjectives are typically listed. So keep that in mind. Laetus and laeta, this is our adjective that means happy. All right, next we have iratus. That's our masculine form, iratus. And then our feminine form, irata. All right, and this is our adjective that means angry. And this might make you think of the word like irritated, right? If you're irritated, you're angry, you're mad or upset about something. Next, we have tristis. And this is one of those ones I was talking about where it's the same for both masculine and feminine, so you only need to know one form for this one. Tristis is going to be our Latin word for sad. All right, next up we have fessus. Fessus, is our masculine form. And then fessa. Fessa is our feminine form. And this is our adjective that means tired. All right, this is kind of a weird looking one. Got lots of vowels in here. So if you remember way back to the beginning of the year, our pronunciation lesson, when the letter I is at the beginning of a word and it's before another vowel, it's going to be pronounced with a y sound, kind of like our English letter Y. So this word is pronounced yeunus. Yeunus. That's our masculine, and then our feminine is Yeuna. Yeuna. And this is going to be our adjective that means hungry. Okay, next we have another one. This is our other adjective where it's just the one form for both masculine and feminine. So it's the same for both. This is fortis. Fortis is our adjective that can mean brave. It can also mean strong. So this one kind of has multiple meanings depending on the context that it's being used. So it can mean either brave or strong. Think of words like a fortification, right? Or to fortify something is to make it stronger. All right, next we have calidus. Calidus is the masculine, and then we have calida. Calida is our feminine form. And this is our adjective that means hot. All right, this is if it's a summer day and it's like 100 degrees outside and you're feeling quite warm, this is what is going to be used for hot or warm. And then the opposite of that, we've got frigidus and frigida. So frigidus and frigida, this is our adjective that means cold. This is related to fridge, like a refrigerator, right? Keeps things cold. It re-colds things, literally right? And refrigerates, keeps it cold. All right, and then we've got bonus and bona. And this is our adjective that means good. Now, quick little side note. At the beginning of the year, we learned how to talk about ourselves and to ask how we're doing by asking quid agis, how are you? And you could respond sum bene, B-E-N-E. And we used sum bene to mean I am good or I am well, right? I'm fine in that sense. And bene is technically an adverb. So it's the adverbial form of this adjective bonus or bona, which means good. So when you say sum bene, using the adverb, you mean that you are feeling well, right? I am well. It's describing how you are. When you use bonus or bona as an adjective to describe yourself, this is more stating in general that you are a good person versus how you're feeling. So if you want to say I'm feeling good, you say sum bene. If you were trying to say I am good, as in I am a good person in that sort of sense, you would say sum bonus or sum bona. And if you are a boy, you use the masculine forms. If you're a girl, you use the feminine forms. That's typically how it goes for Latin. So bonus and bona means good in more of the sense of like being a good person in that sort of sense. And we get the word bonus from this in English, right? A bonus is a good thing. All right, and then we have malus and mala. Malus and mala means bad. So in the same kind of way as we saw bonus and bene, right? You could also say, I think you could say sum male in Latin, and you can use it as an adverbial form, and it's more of I'm feeling bad. But I think I taught you guys sum pessime instead, because it's a little bit better. But malus or mala, if you say sum malus or sum mala, you're meaning I'm bad is in more of like an evil sense, right? I am a bad person. So please don't say that. So bad, this is more bad is referring to like someone's doing like something bad as opposed to like feeling bad. All right, parvus and parva. This is our adjective that means small, right? Parvus and parva mean small. And then we have magnus and magna. And this is our adjective that means big. And I couldn't resist using Clifford the Big Red Dog. So big, magnus, we get words like magnify from this, right? If you magnify something, you're making it appear bigger. This is another word where it can also mean something else. Magnus can also be used to mean great in a sense, but we're going to mostly use it to mean big. But it can mean great, and this is where like magnificent comes from. All right, altus and alta. And this is going to be our adjective that means tall. This adjective can also mean high, right, if something is high up. And this is related to our word altitude. So, right, your altitude, if you're at a high altitude, means you're high above sea level in that sense. And lentus and lenta. These are our adjectives that mean slow. Right, so the snail is slow. And then we have keller and kelleris. And this is one of those ones where I told you that sometimes our masculine and feminine endings are a little bit different. And this is one of those times where instead of having the US and the A endings, we've got this R and IS ending. So this does happen sometimes. So keller is our masculine form, and then kelleris is our feminine form. And this is our Latin word for fast. And this is related to our word accelerate, right? So if you accelerate in your car, it means you're going faster. All right, and those are all of our adjectives. So hopefully you got those all written down. Again, I will post the slides separately so you can go through it at your own pace to get the words written down, or you can always just pause the video to write down the words before moving on to the next one. Let's do a little bit of practice with our adjectives, and then you do have an assignment for this week that I'll talk about a little bit. So really quickly, again, remember, our adjectives have to match our nouns. They have to have the same gender as the noun they're describing. So let's do some practice, right? Which adjective would we use to describe the canis, right? Canis is our word for dog. Now, canis is one of our special nouns that can be either masculine or feminine. So I started you off with an easy one where it doesn't matter which one you use. You can use either the masculine or the feminine. So you'd want to say canis est magnus, or you could say canis est magna, for the dog is big. All right, and how are we going to describe this cat? So we have feles, our word for cat. And if you remember, our Latin word feles is a feminine word. So we're going to say feles est laeta. Feles est laeta. We want to use the feminine form of our adjective for happy because it's smiling. So the cat is happy, but we use laeta. And then we've got porcus, right? How is the porcus? Take a look at its surroundings and what it's wearing. And porcus has that US ending that tells us it's masculine. Porcus est frigidus. All right, porcus est frigidus. The pig is cold. And now you can practice talking about how you are feeling. So again, you can ask someone, quid agis, how are you? And now we've just got more options. Instead of just saying sum bene or sum pessime or sum optime, we can now say any of our adjectives. And again, remember, if you're a boy, you're typically going to use the masculine forms of the adjectives. And if you're a girl, to describe yourself, you use the feminine forms. So sum laeta, I am happy, right? So practice saying how you're feeling, practice your adjectives. And there's a little assignment for you guys on Google Classroom, so make sure you check that out. It's creating your own sentences using some of the nouns we've learned and some of the adjectives, and you just combine them like we've done here, right? You have your noun and then our verb est, meaning is, and then whatever adjective you want to use to describe your nouns. And you're going to create 10 sentences, mixing and matching your nouns and adjectives to describe each other. And again, pay attention to whether it's masculine or feminine, and make sure you're using the correct form of the adjective to describe it. Please email me if you have any questions at all. You'll just submit the assignment through Google Classroom for the sentence part. There is kind of a little bonus part where you are going to illustrate a couple of the sentences you create. Now, for my remote students, you can just upload a picture of your drawings, your illustrations onto Google Classroom, or you can email me a picture, whichever works best for you. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Walete discipuli. Have a lovely week.